Welcome to Season 1, Episode 5 of The Orange Juice, the podcast where we dive into the people, the stories and the events that shape Orange, New South Wales. Now today I'm really happy to have the Manager of Economic Development for Orange City Council with us, Jess Wilkinson. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And you're a Central West girl originally, grew up in Lithgow, but now you find yourself here in Orange working.
Yeah, that's right. So I did grow up in Lithgow, have heard it referred as a, dirty coal mining town more than once, which has always been quite interesting to me because, it's 2/3 national park. Talking about a valley that's surrounded by greenery. So, yeah, look, I spent my childhood, not playing with coal, but, obviously water skiing and, hiking, mountain biking. It's a really great place to grow up if you love the outdoors.
It has always confounded me why people label it that. I mean, we know that it was built on coal mining in the way that probably Orange was built on gold mining, but it's much more than that. Lithgow's a great town.
So much more than that.
You're sitting in the Blue Mountains and you're also part of the Central West. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want a great outdoors experience, it's a good town to visit.
But now you find yourself here in economic development in Orange and what an important role. But before we dive into that, I'm going to do the McGrath Minute with you. So is it coffee or wine for you?
Look, I love a cup of coffee, so double skim shot to start my day. But I have to say a glass of wine on a Saturday with a cheese platter just really helps you wind down the week. So I have to go both, but different occasions.
Where do you find yourself getting coffee most when you're centred you're in the middle of town there with council?
I am. Look, I try to share it around a bit. Factory espresso if I'm on my way into town. Obviously, Groundstone is very close proximity and has great coffee. So we're kind of spoilt for choice where council's located.
And what do you think when you think about eateries in Orange? We're quite known for our restaurants and cafes. Which one are you drawn to at the moment?
I have heard Raku mentioned a few times, and I have to say that is a family favourite of ours as well. But look, in terms of lunch, I love a lunch at the Groundstone. So obviously good food, good atmosphere, close to work, and then just a wander through the Orange Visitor Information Centre, not just for tourists but for residents as well. And I know you have a segment about what's on, but if you're ever wondering what's on in Orange, those staff there are a wealth of knowledge on all things Orange. So pop in and say hello. Yeah,
awesome. Now you're Central West based. You actually live in Bathurst, but you drive to Orange for work every day.
I do.
What do you, as a local in the Central West and working in Orange, what's your favourite thing for you and your family to do?
We really love, particularly with my mum and sister, going out to night cafe and, we're spoilt for choice on the boutique retailers. So just wandering through the retail strips and having a look at some of those retail shops is a real favourite for us.
Fantastic. And what about a memory of Orange? What's your favourite memory that you have here?
Yeah, look, I'd go quite recent. I recently emceed the Australian citizenship ceremony at the Botanic Gardens.
Yeah, wow.
Look, it was a really uplifting experience and this really good reminder that we have such a multicultural city. It was beautiful to be a part of. And look, if I can indulge and give just one more, I'd also say my first day at Orange City Council. Councils do get a little bit of a bad rap from time to time, but it has such a warm and welcoming community, really community-minded people that are genuinely focused on bettering Orange. So I'm very lucky to work there.
So Jess, could you just expand on that citizenship ceremony for me? Because that's really interesting. Where are we attracting people from internationally?
I think that's what amazed me about the citizenship ceremony. So we had 43 new residents on the day and they came from a vast range of countries. So there were, from Thailand, from India, from Sri Lanka, from England, a vast variety. And I think that's amazing that we can attract people from all these different countries because these people are, feeling skill shortages within our economy. Often they are doctors or lecturers at the university can play really important roles.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really good to know. We have a little question in the McGrath Minute called "Who's your local hero?" Who would you put out there as a local hero in Orange?
Look, it is a very manager economic development answer, but I have to call out the Orange business community as a whole.
Okay.
Obviously, I am quite new to the role and am learning about the Orange community, but I have found it has the most amazing entrepreneurial spirit. So it's not every town that you find that your retailers and your food services and the most successful ones in town are actually independents and not nationals and chains. And it's not just these sectors. So we have great entrepreneurial ag tech operators, professional services, even boutique food manufacturers, people just, throwing their passion into what they love and succeeding in it. It's something that you work at as an economic development manager that, we're already doing really well at in Orange.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. So you find that you're finding the business community really supportive, innovative, and really getting behind each other on projects.
Absolutely. As I said, like the amount of people who are, starting and succeeding in business here is really exceptional for a regional town and something Orange should genuinely be proud of.
Yeah, excellent. The last one is, what was the last book you read?
So the last book I read was One Moment by Leanne Moriarty.
Okay.
So I do love my fiction. So a bit of a play on how much of your life is destined versus free will. But I have recently moved on to something a little more heavy in the anxious generation. So I do have two girls who are approaching their teenage years. And so I'm really genuinely interested in, how smartphones and social media can impact their mental health.
Absolutely. I think it's one of the absolutely burning questions for our generation. So that's a good one. What's the name of that one? I'll put it on my list.
The Anxious Generation, Jonathan Haidt.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, that leads us into maybe a little bit more about you, Jess. We said you grew up in Lithgow. So where was it from there? So you schooled in Lithgow, grew up in the Central West, and then where from there?
Yeah, so look, I did leave Lithgow at 18, as many do. I would encourage people not to do that in Orange. I'd love to keep our younger population here, but I did leave. I spent 15 years working as an economist in Sydney, a property economist in particular, focusing on the retail sector. And look, hubby, he is from Lithgow as well, and we'd always talked about returning to the Central West, but never really had that push point to do that. And then COVID happened, and I always think there's sort of two people during COVID. You've got those ones that say, "Oh, I love COVID. It was time in my schedule, and I got all this time back." And then you've got people that say it was the most stressful part of my life. And I definitely fell within that second bucket. And it was a hard year. It wasn't a year you wanted to be in retail or shopping centres. And so I worked too much and I didn't spend time with the kids. And, we reevaluated everything after that, after COVID, and made the decision that we wanted a different life. And look, we moved out here about 5 years ago, and honestly, we haven't looked back. We love it.
So a lot of people are drawn back. You find this, you'll quite often go and spread your wings after you grow up in a town like Lithgow or Bathurst or Orange, great Central West towns, and then you'll go and spread your wings, go to the city, make your way there and find that when those kids are at that age that you want to raise them back in the country. What do you think that is? Do you think raising your kids in the country just has a little bit more authenticity to it, or it's, what is it that draws us back?
Yeah, look, it was a big factor for us. We always talked about the fact that we wanted country kids, not city kids. We wanted kids that wanted to be in the outdoors as opposed to in shopping centres, and, focus on their sport over their makeup. And so it was a big factor for us, and that was part of the reason as well, is that our eldest was starting school, and so we thought now is the time. If we're going to do it, now's the time. And look, our kids love it here. They have the most beautiful life. We have more friends and family here, and just more time to spend with them.
Awesome. So speaking of sport, I believe there's a bit of sport in your family. You and your husband are pretty involved with tennis.
Yeah, that's right. So we had a relatively large tennis academy in Sydney that my husband ran. Look, since moving to the Central West, we now have more of a boutique one in the tennis practice. Like my husband loves it. It is his passion.
Are your girls tennis players?
So they started as tennis players, and they were relatively good tennis players. But I was a gymnast growing up, so we had a bit of conflict between the two of us on what they would do. But they have chosen gymnastics. So whilst they can play tennis, their passion sits with gymnastics, and if anyone's a gymnastics parent, it's a 10-hour week training session and there's not much time for
Almost
anything
like
else.
a dance mum.
Yeah, it's very similar to a dance mum. Look, I was a gymnast, so I love the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that'd be incredible.
But my husband is a great tennis player.
Excellent. Oh, well, that's good. Hey, we've got a theme coming through on the podcast that I'm feeling, and that is that we're so well positioned here in Orange for day trips to other villages and other towns. Do you feel that within your family? Is that something you guys do, day trips to other towns, down to the Blue Mountains or out to Parks Forbes? Is that a thing that you do?
Yeah, so I think we are really lucky in that central location, whether it be to go and visit the dish in Parks or, Safala, the creek there. It's just great for kids, even ducking across to the museums in Bathurst, and getting Bathurst people to come here in Orange. I think that when it comes to kids' activities, we are more spoilt for choice than I think we realise, but it is about, exploring your own backyard.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's talk more about your role now, because it's a really interesting role. And I've lived here more than 20 years. I've been a ratepayer. I've owned businesses. I've worked for other people, but I don't think I would even fully understand the economic development role. Can you tell us a bit about it, and what does it do for us as ratepayers, as citizens, as people who live here? What does your role feed into for our town?
Yeah, so I always think of economic development as sitting in probably 5 key pillars. So the first is investment attraction. So it's my job to encourage new business to come to Orange, to encourage new money to come to Orange. The second is resident attraction. So to really work to fill those workforce shortages or any skill shortages we might have within the city. The third, business support. So helping local businesses grow and thrive is a really big part of what my team does. And then we have tourism and events. So both really great levers for sort of pulling an economy up.
We spoke earlier about how, when we first started this morning, you were talking about how Lithgow just gets labelled as this coal town, and probably wrongly so. Orange, I suppose, has labels put on it as a cafe and wine and culture, which is great. And of course we are. It's a mining town also. But you're probably a bit more privy to the actual numbers and what's actually driving economic growth in this town. So can you shed a bit of light on where the numbers all fall with things like employment and things like revenue?
Yeah, look, I probably would address tourism to start off with. So, look, tourism is a really important driver to any economy. So we get about 1.3 million overnight visitors every year. And if we equate that into residents, that's 3,500 extra residents. So that's a real boost for the economy.
Indeed.
But the other thing tourism gives us is it does attract those boutique shops and those great restaurants, right? That adds that livability, which then leads to resident attraction. So if you look at the data of where our tourists come from and where our residents come from, there is actually a direct correlation. So we know that people visit the area and then they move to Orange.
Okay, so they become tree changers as such, yeah.
And then those new residents then obviously repay the tourism sector by inviting their friends and families to come visit. So tourism is really important. But I think to say that tourism is the key driver of the Orange economy is technically incorrect. So we get about 5 to 6% of our employment from tourism, and 2.7% of our output. In terms of what is the key driver, so we do have nearly 60% of our population employed within 5 key industries, which is health, education, retail, construction, and government. Our biggest employer in town is by far health. So nearly 1 in 4 residents of Orange are employed within health and social assistance. And then in terms of the growth, health is projected to be the biggest growing sector. So if you've got a teenager that wants to study something that allows them to, live and work in Orange, health is a really good option. And we obviously have a number of health courses right here in our footprint at Charles Sturt University.
Yeah, of course.
And then when we start to talk about output and income for the town, mining is big. So mining is about 1/3 of our income and 1/4 of our output. So I don't need to give you 2 guesses on the major employment node that is driving that, but very important to our economy. And that's followed by manufacturing and construction. So they're both worth 10% to our economy each. So we're lucky. We have a diverse economy that, allows us to sort of ride the lumps and bumps.
It really, truly is. I mean, we've been lucky to work with a business that's come to town here recently called Green Timber Technology.
Oh yes,
Are
yep.
you across those guys?
I am. They are. That's amazing. Yeah, they have a showcase on the 1st of October actually.
They do. Yep,
Showcasing.
that's
Yes, yeah. So hopefully can bring some Sydney siders down from the property sector to put some investment into it.
I think it's incredible what Pete and the team are doing there. Like to have that old email building back in use. They're gunning for some big numbers on affordable housing. And of course, housing is one of the crises that we have in Australia. Does anything else come to mind for you being at the coalface with all of this stuff in terms of other innovative businesses that we're either trying to attract in the tech space, or where are we at with really attracting businesses like GTT to Orange?
So that is within my portfolio and within my role. So look, some of the areas I'm really interested in are things like health tech. I do think whilst we have that population serving health sector, which is great, I think that provides us the opportunity to move more into health research or health tech, so a related industry, and then that construction and manufacturing industry like the GTTs.
Yeah, that is awesome. Look, that's been a really fabulous insight, Jess. I think your role obviously delivers a lot for the town, and you're working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we as citizens and ratepayers wouldn't know about. So this stuff's probably all available too on council's website, I guess, if you needed to find out more about, economic development. Is there somewhere we can go to look at that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are some stats on the website, but you're always welcome to reach out to our team. So we have Business at Orange is our email, and we're here to help. So if there are some statistics or some information you want on Orange, reach out to our team. We have a group of people that are there to help.
Bite Riot Orchards is proudly owned by the Hall family, third-generation growers here in Orange. From crisp, juicy apples to the sweetest summer cherries, Bite Riot produce isn't just enjoyed locally. It's exported across the world and featured in leading supermarkets like Harris Farm Markets. It's more than just fruit, it's family innovation and a commitment to showcasing the best growers from the Orange region. Bite Riot, proudly grown in Orange, shared with the world.
All right, Jess, let's get into what's going on in Orange this week. And there's always so much going on in Orange, but I've deliberately picked a few council things and a few others. Today, we're in school holidays now. So at the Regional Gallery, we've got story time. And the gallery and museum have so much going on through the school holidays.
So many activities.
Even as a parent, I don't think until I hit the website and had a look, I didn't realise just how much stuff is on at the gallery and the museum throughout the school holidays for your kids to do.
Absolutely. Every day there's something to take your kids to. So no reason for them to be bored.
No, absolutely. And I think just, check the Orange City Council website for that. There's too many to actually list, but, story time's always been a favourite. The gallery has got some great stuff on as well. Today at the Orange Youth Hub, a pie making workshop. That's another great school holiday thing to do. Do you cook with your girls?
We do. I have recently put in a policy in our house, shall we say, that they have to cook one night a week. So I've got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old.
We do the same.
Yeah, and they're doing great. So we learn one meal and they do that for a few weeks, and then we expand that out. So pie making workshop sounds like a good idea.
This Thursday at Orange Civic Theatre, the Sydney Comedy Festival showcase. And who doesn't need a laugh in these times?
Yeah, gotta love a bit of comedy, don't you?
You do. And the Civic Theatre does so much good stuff. I mean, there's always great acts, local and imported acts coming through there.
A great variety.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have that resource. Unreal. Thursday at Badlands Brewery, Meg Washington. Now, I'm pretty sure she used to go by the name Megan Washington, same artist. She now goes by Meg Washington, but she's a platinum selling Australian artist. I think she's doing a solo show. Don't quote me on that. But if there's still tickets available for that at Badlands, she is absolutely phenomenal. She's just got a incredible playbook of songs, and she's got a new album out called Gem that she's promoting. And, John Shiner's done an amazing job down there at Badlands. Have you got down there yet?
I haven't. It's definitely on the list, and maybe this is a good reason to do it. We're lucky to attract all these artists to Orange. It's amazing.
As it's no secret, I've been a muso for a long time, and we are so sport for choice now in Orange. And what John's doing down there, he's bringing some great acts through. So get down there on Thursday if there's tickets left for Meg Washington. This sort of leads into something we were talking about before about tourism, but also family. It's really good to see some of the wineries now starting to do more family-oriented stuff than just stuff for the adults. So Stockman's Ridge this Saturday are doing a big family fun day. So live music and wine for the adults and jumping castles and arts and crafts for the kids.
Oh,
So
amazing. Yeah.
some of the wineries in Orange have such beautiful settings, and if you want to bring the kids along, it's quite often not a space for kids, but it's good to see the wineries reaching out and doing that.
But who wouldn't enjoy a glass of wine while their kids are jumping on a jumping castle? I mean, having kids that age, perfect.
It's nirvana, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. Jess, this isn't a this week thing. This is a 1st of November thing, but Zest Fest is back.
That's right. 1st of November. It is a free event, but we do need you to register. San Cisco is the main act, but we also have a live and local stage this year to support those local acts. And look, I think it's going to be a really great community event that's not only for the Orange community, but will attract people from outside the area.
I think that's a really, really awesome development. It's obviously something close to my heart. We have so many good local musos here. And for the locals to have their own stage, I believe at this stage they're going to cordon off Byng Street and the stage will be outside the Visitors Centre at this stage. Don't quote me on that. But just great for the locals to have their own stage, their own followers and to go along with those imported acts. That's fantastic.
Yeah, look, we expect in excess of 5,000 people. So it's going to be big.
Absolutely love it. Thanks so much for sharing a bit about your role and a bit about you this morning, Jess. It's been great to get to know you. If you were a business or a person moving to Orange with skills, give me the 30-second elevator pitch. What do we love about Orange? Why are we going to move here?
I think the beauty of Orange is it's not only a great place to work, but it's a great place to live. And I think that's Orange's key selling point, because you always think you're not going to bring a business to a town if you don't want to live and raise your family in that town. And Orange has that in spades. So I think it's that livability element that is the key selling point of Orange, and we're really lucky to have that.
I couldn't agree more. That's why we're all here, right?
That's right.
Thanks so much, Jess.
Thanks so much, Kyle. It's great to be part of, this locally produced podcast.
Cheers. So for all of you community groups, schools, businesses and any other organisation that thinks it has a piece of newsworthy news for the Orange Juice, send us an email, news@theorangejuice.com.au. Cheers.